Welcome to Tap Into Data. How are we doing?
Hey, good, Jared. It's been a while, buddy. I feel
It
bad for
has
our audience, man. Like
it
we
has
had
been a
some
while.
momentum going and now we're just kind of going back
Yeah.
slow, right?
It's funny too because I've like seen obviously like since we started the podcast, I see like articles about podcasts and how you get successful and when you fail and like how many episodes until you start getting momentum or you just kind of drop off. And we like hit that exact number and then we just dropped right off the face of the earth for like 3 weeks. I'm like,
Did we?
well, I guess we fit the norm. We just disappeared off the face of the earth for a few weeks, but we're back.
I
We're
was getting
back.
ready to blame it on our last guest, but I guess we can't do that.
No, well, he was the best. I think we got some sick views on that one.
Yeah, some good traction. He'll be there at Clean Power too, so that'll be good. Let me just adjust my camera a little bit. Oh, there we go. I had it set up for
Oh,
meetings and
much better.
yeah, showing the golf stuff in the background.
What are you drinking today?
I have, so yeah, so taking the month of May off. So today I have
Not
a
me.
non-alcoholic Guinness. Yeah, I was out in Atlantic Canada last week with our good friend Gurmeet and just talking about health and all this travel that we're doing and what June looks like because it is going to be bananas. Um, and yeah, his personal, I guess, coach has told him to let's take the month of May off, right? Get off the booze for a month and see how your body transforms. So we're sitting there, obviously having a beer and chicken wings, and I said, "Well, yeah, I'll do it with you." So we are now 7 days in, 8 days in, and it's
Feeling
good.
great?
Yeah, June 1st is gonna hurt though, because I think we roll into Houston the same time, and might be hard to get us out of the airport lounge. Being 31 days without it, and my birthday as well as this month, and my anniversary, so it's a double whammy of not being able to drink anything.
There you go. Well, that way you can start drinking in the morning when you get to the airport, and just start it off right. So by the time you get to Houston, you're already feeling good, feeling loose.
Well, that's the plan. Is we're gonna, yeah, we might, yeah, we're definitely gonna meet up at the airport. I'm flying out to Detroit, so there's really no laws there if compared to Toronto. Sometimes Toronto closes early in the morning, and not the US. So,
No, airports are all in different rules. You can drink anytime there.
yeah. So what you've been doing? You just showed me some pictures of some distribution inspections going on right now.
Yeah, doing some more doc stuff. Just keep on growing with that. What we can do as far as automation goes. So that's been fun. Um, yeah, having some more conversations around doc stuff as far as like FlightHub and the automation and kind of the back end of things as well. So what manages the data for the docs, how you facilitate that. DJI has some different options out there as far as being in the cloud under DJI, being in your own cloud environment with their on-prem solution, and then they're all in one, which we had the opportunity, and we've talked to some of our folks, but we had the opportunity to test that for a few weeks here in Minneapolis and had some good results there too. So a good flexibility for folks that are looking to use docs and depending on their IT scrutiny and how they want to deploy and what their capabilities are. So we've been diving a lot into that this week and doing some testing around that as well. And it's been great. I think the flexibility that you can do kind of out the gate with DJI um, is pretty unique in the industry from what we've seen compared to Skydio and others.
Yeah, and I guess we haven't been on this thing for a while. So what did we do last week? We gave a demo to a client in a part of Canada, right, where it was showing them how you can use docs for aggregate measurements and automation of flight. And I think it really opened their eyes to the fact that what they're doing today is taking them 4 hours. What we demonstrated is something that can be completed in less than an hour. So, and you're doing it remotely, right? You're mitigating that risk of having to get out to site. So, aside from all the other data acquisition and collection of it, just the speed, like just the amount of additional inspections you can do in that day. I think that client was just overwhelmed with like, wow, that's where technology is today. Then let's get signed up on it.
Yeah, I think that's the exciting part of it, right? Is there's so much opportunity, and a lot of clients. I mean, a lot of just people in general that are using drones today think they're doing a lot with automation, think they're doing a lot with pre-planned flights, but all of those manual touch points that they're interacting with from the creating of the flights, creation of the flight plan to the pulling of the SD card, managing the data, all of those pieces take time. And when you start to automate all of those things and rely on the technology, on the back end and the software to do that for you, like you can 10x your productivity easily. And I think that is definitely a case with docs. And I know we've talked about that before, but I just cannot believe how many times that we've had conversations and shown and proved how much more valuable the docs can be. Like it truly is pretty groundbreaking technology and just an easy scalable thing, right? Like every time, like last time we talked about docs, it was like we had a couple new customers that were, getting one, gonna try it out, and every single customer within a month is like, okay, I need three more of these, or I need five more of these, because they see how much they can gain, right? Especially if they're able to pair it with beyond visual line of sight or one to many operations. Like you have an operator that can be in an office managing docks and drones that are all over the all over the country or all over the state, and it really just gives them that much more efficiency and capability of their operations. So definitely cool stuff, and I'm excited to see. We've talked a lot about solar and how it's been deployed on the solar fields. Haven't talked much about wind. Obviously, wind turbines and wind turbine inspections, as we well know, because we've seen it, is a little bit more complicated than doing an orthomosaic map or a flight of sorts over solar panels. But I think there's going to be some opportunities too that we're exploring on how do we do spot-based inspection and other things of remote wind sites, to just get eyes on something. Maybe not a comprehensive inspection to start, but certainly I think there's opportunities for project management and monitoring with a dock solution on wind sites, as well as solar sites. So I think that'll be a fun conversation at Clean Power as well.
And I think you look at customers that don't really know how to automate their systems, right? You touched on that. They think they're doing it until they meet you, right? Once they meet you, then it's just like, okay, that's exactly how this is supposed to work, and that 10x factor comes in, right? Um, I think a lot of people get extreme value out of having a conversation with you and just saying, okay, how can I do this? Well, easy, right? And people have their head spins and try to figure it out. Um, but you talk about other things like progress mapping, with construction sites, right? And obviously getting back to the wind sector and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I guess there's other parts of it too, utilities, which we'll talk next week. We'll have a guest on and we'll get deep into the whole distribution transmission, the evolution of ground-based inspections to aerial inspections. My days of walking down right-of-ways back in 2003 are far from how things are being conducted today.
2003. Wow.
2003, eh? Showing my age a little bit.
Yeah, I was in sixth grade at that point, I think. So
Oh, I thought you were still kind of just in the diapers, sucking your thumb kind of approach, but
I didn't say I wasn't in diapers, and I didn't say I wasn't sucking my thumb. I just said I was in sixth grade.
you're just in a grade. Okay.
Oh,
That's what they do. So
yeah,
let's
no,
go.
it's definitely cool, and it's fun. I mean, the positive too, right? Like I have obviously had the opportunity, especially on the docks, to like work with more docks and work with more customers using scaled dock operations than most other folks. So I've had the opportunity to see what the capabilities are. But also, I mean, like my all of the opportunities I've had over the years have helped kind of shape like what automation can do, what data management can do, and it just has built this kind of unique perspective, that I get to have and bring to other people of like, think about this differently, right? Like you may think what you're doing today is efficient. You may think what you're doing today or may serve a purpose, may get the job done. But what are we not thinking about, right? That old adage of think outside the box, really rings true here. And in this case, you're thinking inside the box because you're thinking about a dock, not to be too cheesy, but yeah, it's definitely cool technology and only going to improve. And I think the exciting part about working with you and the Canadian market is, I think obviously we have some issues in the United States with DJI and some limitations as far as new hardware. But I think, as we see new generations of docks and new generations of technology come out, being able to continue to be on top of that in the Canadian market space, and marketplace is going to be really cool, and I'm really excited about it. So I get to still kind of have those conversations, about what's up and coming, and I will say it's definitely going to keep getting better.
Yeah, sorry, my little one's here driving me crazy right now, but it's not in here, Clayton. It's elsewhere. I have no idea. Say hi to Jared. Come on our podcast. There, now you're famous. Yeah, there you go. You're just gonna take the subscribers right up through the roof now.
Yeah, we're gonna
I
blow
don't know
up.
where your controller is. Um, yeah, so you're talking about docks in Canada, right? It's an interesting time because people it's new, it's shiny, it has tons of capabilities. So one of the things that I didn't know until recently was DJI's different verticals on how they manage and store that data. I thought it was just a cloud-based platform. Images, you conduct your inspection, goes in, gets uploaded through Starlink, however, and then you get to a deliverable. But as I found out, there's multiple different, like there's different options for this stuff. And most recently, we're talking about this all-in-one um, system. So I don't know what the difference is between the three and what's better for a client. Obviously, we know internal IT, that sort of stuff really governs what it is. But what are the differences between the three for the folks out there that know about a dock, but they're still trying to understand how it can be utilized, say within their own IT parameters?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, right, you start with a dock, right? And I think the thing that most people forget about or don't think about if they're kind of initially getting into the dock technology is you need a control software, which is different than what it would happen if you just bought a regular drone out of the box, right? You have a controller, typically an Android-based controller that has all of your control software. You have ability to plan missions, those types of things. In the case of the dock is the controller. Obviously, doesn't have a screen on the side of it, and so your screen becomes web-based, right? So you're able to access that through a web-based browser, Google Chrome, whatever, what have you, and interact with that same type of interface that you would with the controller typically. And what DJI's version of that um, is FlightHub and FlightHub 2. FlightHub 2 allows you to interact and fly the drone. And if you start out of the box, take your dock, you set it up. Most people are going to set it up with FlightHub 2 online, which is DJI's hosted FlightHub instance. So it's a software, runs on AWS in Virginia data center, and is managed and owned by DJI, right? So if you have IT scrutiny or a larger company, sometimes they still have issues with that, right? Like, okay, it's in a US based server, the data is in AWS, but it's still going through something that is inherently owned and managed by DJI. So what DJI did kind of pretty quickly after they came out with the dock technology was they introduced On-Prem about the same time the Dock 3 came out. And what On-Prem allows you to do is to take that same cloud environment and host it yourself, right? So you can stand up your own AWS instance and servers and have a installed version of FlightHub that is managed by you. So now all of a sudden you have the same capabilities, but the back end is managed and paid for and in your AWS environment and your security scrutiny or whatever you need to assign to that. So those are the kind of the two things that came out around the Doc 3 time frame, right? So it's been whatever 2 years now, and what they found was is like that's a pretty big learning curve, right? Like not every company or every person that's going to be buying a dock and implementing a dock has the engineering back end expertise to stand up their own AWS instance to enable that type of environment. So what they did is they created this kind of meet in the middle technology, which is called the all-in-one or the AIO, which is essentially it's a Lenovo server. It's a desktop computer that ships with the software already on it, plug and play, ready to go. It allows you to own the hardware, to isolate it within your own network, away from kind of DJI's, holding or owning of it. But it simplifies it so you don't have to install it yourself, right? You get this piece of hardware, this desktop computer that actually runs that for you. Now the limitation there is you can only have so many devices. For most folks, it's going to be plenty for the amount of devices they have. For some of the folks that we work with, as you well know, Adam, like you're talking, dozens and dozens, some nearing up to 100 docks deployed. That full AWS deployed on-prem solution is going to be the path. But if you're, a couple dozen docks or you're less than 20 specifically, I guess is with the one piece of hardware, the all-in-one can be a stopgap solution and an easier to deploy solution. So that's kind of the three paths. And what we've seen is like typically folks are start out with that FlightHub cloud, that DJI cloud version, allows them to get started, see some of the features of automation, right? Some of the things that we've shown customers, as you talked about in the last couple of weeks, that really show them the value. And then you can either move and decide if you want to transition to that all-in-one, standalone unit, or if you want to go into that on-prem kind of managed service. And I think there's a lot of opportunity kind of across each of those, and each organization is different in what they need. But we're working pretty hard to really kind of isolate out each of those. When is it the best? When's the best case to sell someone an all-in-one? When's the best case to sell someone that on-prem solution? And in some cases, hey, if you can use the DJI stuff, maybe it's most cost-effective and efficient to just
Mm.
use DJI's native offering.
No, that's great. Yeah, because up until today, I think that was the question that came to us was the all-in-one unit, and that was just another path that I didn't really know a whole lot about. So, um, but yeah, looking at your shirt there. Show the audience bananas. So talking about remote capabilities, right? For those who do follow our LinkedIn page, you saw a post of Jared with some bananas last week. I was sent those to him using Uber Eats from my place here in Ontario, and we are tracking it and on the phone and making sure that those got to you. And obviously, good couple handfuls there for you.
Good bunch of bananas, yeah,
Good
and they were
bunch of
delicious
bananas.
too. Yeah,
Maybe at Clean Power you'll see us walking around in a banana costume or something. Maybe to one
yeah,
of the
we'll definitely have
after
to.
dark parties or something like that.
That's actually a good idea. We should get some tap into data bananas shirts. That's actually really good. There you go. Check it. Look for us at Clean Power. Bananas, tap into data shirts. Maybe we'll get a couple extras too. So if someone comes
Give
and
them out.
brings it up yeah, if someone comes and brings it up and says, "Hey, I heard you guys are going to wear some shirts," then we can give someone a shirt. So if you're
Big
listening
banana on the
and
front.
you see us at Clean Power, bring up the banana shirt. I may have a banana shirt for you.
Yeah, big banana on the front and the back tap into data with a barcode right there.
Yeah, I like it.
Bright yellow shirts.
Go bananas.
Go bananas. I'm gonna write that down actually. T-shirts for Clean Power. That'd be great. So what else you working on? I've been kind of all over the place this week and the last week. It's been I gotta say a zoo. I'm not gonna say bananas, but yeah, it's been lots of travel out to Atlantic Canada. Out there 1 week, back
Yeah.
for a week, out there for another week, and home for a couple weeks, and then back out there some more.
So when's your next trip? Is it Clean Power?
Yeah, so Clean Power, yeah, the first to the fourth Clean Power, and then 15th to 18th we're back in Halifax, and then 22nd to 24th I'm in Vegas, putting on an AI workshop. So that's what we were doing last week, and yeah, just the whole thing about collecting data and analyzing it and being able to do something with that data. Um, when you understand how to use AI the right way, right? Whether it's sales, operational needs, but one of the things we found out last week is there's so many opportunities out there for companies to grow. And when you find the way to actually identify those things, it just the X factor is massive. Like we were going through couple different scenarios and prompts and building your ideal client profile and pairing that to what's out in the market today to bid on. And then taking all that data in those packages and absorbing it and giving it, spitting it back out to an actual, almost a full proposal really, in like an hour. So it's pretty neat at the level of data that came in and what was we actually were able to put out through an Excel workbook for, say, a management team or an estimating group, someone maybe a proposal writer, to take that and say, okay, typically and historically that would have taken us maybe weeks to get the RFP, read through it, right, divide it amongst the group that needs to be involved, get a price in that meets your margin, push it back out to the procurement buyer. Now we can do that really quick. Like I have my stuff set up now where I'm getting daily digest to my inbox at 7 in the morning for all the available RFPs in Canada. So I've put some trigger words in there of what I'm looking for, and yeah, I just in the morning I get that daily digest. I'm not even looking for them anymore. So it's pretty neat what you can do. Yeah, aside from what we're obviously doing with the docs, but some of the other capabilities, and then hopefully take all that stuff and pump that into what we call our smart sheet platform, right? Um, and use as a workflow strategy, and then ultimately take the docs and all those inspection and all that data that comes in, it's compiling it all together. Because we know some of it's AI already, right? With machine learning, and the output is driven that way. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting here in the Canadian market throughout the summertime and into the fall, especially with the one client we're working with, because their opportunities stretch from probably hundreds of different industries and different use cases and different flight missions. And well, I think every flight's going to be slightly different than the previous one, so it's gonna be fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, we talk almost every day, right?
Hmm.
It's definitely going gangbusters, and I think that's exciting because we're not only seeing that with one, right? Like we're seeing that in multiple different industries. We're seeing that with multiple different clients, and and I think the unique part too is like enabling automation with FlightHub, one either any of those three options. Enabling automation with the docs doesn't limit you with like the DJI new product line. Like doesn't limit you to just docs, right? Like you can still
Hmm.
use that with an M400 and the lidar, as we're seeing with multiple of the clients. You can use that with just the Matrice series, Matrice 4 series. Like you can fly through FlightHub. You can launch missions through FlightHub. You can enable, like, better enable the person on site. So the person on site is really just delivering the hardware to site, and the person in that remote operations center can actually pilot them, right? Can run the automation, can look at the results, can see the capture real time, make real time decisions on what they're seeing, on what's being captured, and just simplify that whole process. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity. We talk a lot about docs, but really like the core is putting that flight hub, putting that automation, putting that AI to work in the field enables docs, which is the scalable hardware piece of it, but enables the whole fleet of DJI drones, right? So in the cases we see these clients who have been, hey, we've been using DJI for years. We have 400s, we have 350s, we have all these other aircraft that we are still want to get use out of. But that's great. You can still manage those. You can still pull missions down from FlightHub. You're just FlightHub, and this like mission management approach becomes your centralized hub of the information, pushing information out to the field, getting that information back in, and making those near real time decisions, which is where the real value comes, right? Like that's where all of a sudden it like triggers in people's brain of like, oh, we're doing this efficiently, but we have to think about this a whole different way and take this to a whole nother level, right? It's not okay, I'm going to gain a few minutes here or there. It's like you're going to 10x your capabilities in the field, and be operate safer, make better decisions, find problems faster, and overall, save money, and create a better product. So that's really the gist of it.
Yeah, and it's been what? We've known each other for about 5 years, I guess, and it started in wind. Like really, that's where the whole relationship began. And you're obviously now in the solar utility sector, kind of building that out. And up here, I'm looking out at the agriculture side of it, is how do we take these docks to farmers and help them to identify growth projections and or hotspots of disease, and then ultimately taking another DJI drone and applying herbicide right at that spot, like treating the disease right at that location based on the flight and getting all that data. So what we were doing 5 years ago, right, of taking a drone to the base of a turbine, stepping back, having it do its own flight. Now we're looking at remote missions, command centers, hours away from where the actual asset is. But then now looking at, okay, now we've done the inspection. DJI also has a whole nother avenue of their business where now you can actually perform the treatment of it. So we're looking at that. Then looking at window washing is another one. Is like I have a potential here in London where it's a condo corp. It's like, have you ever heard of drones that can actually do window washing? I'm like, well, actually, I have. Like, it is out there, right? So in a 5 year period, everyone thinks, okay, drones have come a long way. But when you sit down and actually look at where drones have evolved to, it is way beyond what anyone could actually possibly think of. And then where it's going to go probably before the end of the year, especially in Canada with the changes that took place in, I think it was November of last year. Now you're having conversation. We're talking about control, doing some vegetation management, like spraying non-compatible species with a drone. And it's like that wasn't even something that you would think about doing. You would think maybe, okay, we'll do it as a fly over the top of the corridor to identify fall ins and stuff. But now we're going to go underneath and we're going to treat non-compatible vegetation with a herbicide. Um, so it truly is incredible, but it's all going back to being able to take that data in, right? You get
And make a
recreational
decision because
drones.
of it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get recreational drone flyers that are actually going out there to fly and just have fun with it. Where the technology has gone now, it's you're actually getting really good information back. I don't know if it's an involvement of the cameras and just the technology, but also now having Starlink where you can actually have that Wi-Fi, that internet connection right at the source. Um, but yeah, it's incredible what's happening right now, and we're going to explore this, I think, on a couple different use cases, like everything from pulp and paper mills to refineries to rooftop solar out to pre-construction projects. So nothing aggregate, right, for mining and stuff as well. So all the use cases that are currently happening up here, they're everywhere. The conversation is now, hey, we want to go do this. Do you think our drone is capable of capturing that data remotely, or do we actually physically have to go out there as an old like surveying group and collect it? It's like, well, maybe that's something we haven't explored yet, but let's try it, right? Let's see if we can do our first flight, establish the geofence. Then I'll say, okay, now we can go back to the office and maybe remote launch this thing and do a mission fully autonomous and remote.
Absolutely.
It's pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
it's definitely evolved a long way. And I mean, yeah, started out in the drone industry some 10 years ago, and it was build your own science projects to now it's just scalable automation out of the box. And I think what we've found, I mean, even in the last 6 months, you and I, it's just like, wow, I wonder, could we do this? Well, what about this? Right.
Yeah,
And it's talking to those customers, and a lot of them, some of it's, oh, our inspiration, going to these shows, talking to people of like, let me think about that. Maybe we could do something with that. Um, but it's also the customers coming up with them by themselves, right? Of like, hey, I kind of did this. How can we make this better? And I think that's really, our jobs is, where we sit in the industry and where we sit with our clients is working on trying to find solutions to solve their problems. And the biggest part of that is listening. Like, what are your problems? What are you doing today to solve them? And how can we make it happen more efficiently? So,
yeah. And I was introduced to a company. They're out of Pittsburgh. When was that? A couple weeks ago. And everything we do is above the asset, right? It's very difficult to take that drone and get underneath an asset unless it's a large scale bridge. But if we look at a solar farm, for example, what we're collecting today is above the asset. We don't know what's below it. Well, this company now has the technology to get that automation done for everything below. So they're looking at the bolts, the inverters, the electrical components, and they're taking that and they're saying to the client, you have a fault here, but only here, right? Rather than taking like that site we were at, I think last summer was it was quite a distance for the site manager to get up to that site. Now be responsible to do a potential walk through all lanes of the panels that are there, do the checklist, right? And say, okay, I've completed my whatever it is, weekly, daily, monthly check. This company, which where I'm going to introduce to you guys here in a week and a half, it bless you. It might be something where they come on the show like in July or something like that with talking about how they're performing their data. And then you have that full wraparound, right? So we're doing everything above the asset, we're getting everything below the asset, hopefully being able to pair that together. And then we can notify the client when certain volume of things have happened where they now need to deploy people. So it's pretty cool when I was introduced to them, yeah, just a couple weeks ago, I was like, wow, that's what you're doing? Like that could actually work really nice with what we're up to on our side of things.
yeah, how do you create the holistic view of the asset, right? Like, it's something
Yeah.
we've worked on in wind for years and years. And like, how do you pair these different technologies, right? Like, how do you detect when something may have occurred? How do you get a comprehensive look at that? What different levels of a comprehensive look are there, right? External, internal, so on and so forth, even when you're just talking about blades, let alone the rest of the asset. And I think that same thing goes with solar. It's like, how do you get the most comprehensive view? What tools do you pair together? How do you bring that information and then make the best decisions? And it's exciting to hear those opportunities because I think it's a little bit of everything, right? Like, it's not drones aren't the end all be all, but it's a tool to get you the information from a new perspective and pair that with the other information that you already had coming in to make the best decisions about your site, right? Same with a distribution pole, a transmission line, or a road, or a bridge, or a railway. Like getting an aerial perspective just gives you another unique way of capturing things, in most cases, more efficiently. Not all, but pairing that with all the other information that you already have, whether it be ground robotics, whether it be other monitoring systems, is what's going to allow you to make the best decision. Not just the information from drones isn't going to give you everything you need for all types of assets, but paired with the rest of the information and the rest of the technology that's out there, can be a very powerful tool and a very powerful automated tool, to to reduce actual man time in the field.
And what's going to be neat is next week when we bring our guests and right before we sign off today, I'm going to have you just give a little bit of a who he is, what he does, why he's important to you. But that's going to be someone who actually lives it every day, right? They're using your knowledge, your skill set, the hardware that we just talked about for the last half an hour. This group is deploying that daily and probably deploying it right now on your laptop as we speak, performing some form of an inspection, whether it's solar, distribution, transmission, whatever that might be. Um, but they are probably the furthest along in the development of utilizing drones to inspect and collect data on a day-to-day basis, and probably have the largest fleet of these assets from anybody that I think in the US market. So how would we do that? How would we sign off? But just give a little quick little blurb so everybody can get kind of excited for, I think it's gonna be what, next Friday, about 6 o'clock Eastern time. We should figure out how to do a live stream and broadcast it
Yeah,
that way. But maybe we'll do that in Clean Power when we have people over to the apartment.
get to, get some live videos, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, so next week, we're fortunate to we've been trying to get them on for a little bit of time, but finally found a window that works for all of us, which is great. But Zachary Roach from Xcel Energy is going to be on with us. So he's the UAS program coordinator at Xcel. Has done some incredible work with docks, done some incredible work with drones, and just kind of the reality and remote capture aspects, of Xcel Energy as an organization. So we'll get to talk about what they're doing with the dock technology, what they're doing with remote operations, and then what they're doing across their different use cases as well. Right. So Xcel Energy is a large IOU here in the United States. But they operate in everything from wind to solar, battery, nuclear, transmission, distribution, and substations, across some 8 states. So it'll be super exciting to have him on. I've had the privilege of getting to know him really well over the last few years. Adam's got to meet him in person a few times at some of the shows we've been to. Be a fun conversation and kind of pick his brain on what he sees as the value points, in his operation, how he's growing remote operations, how he's scaling with a relative, in the grand scheme of things, a relative small team, but a huge operational reach with using some of these automated tools that we've talked about. Certainly excited for that. I think it'll be a nice long hour plus conversation with
yeah,
Zach. If any of you know Zach, we can talk for a long time, and it's always an interesting conversation. So excited for that next week for sure.
yeah. I played golf with him there last year in Vegas. Yeah, it's going to be funny because it's definitely going to date me, right, my career, right, from the early days in distribution of doing these foot patrols, even with transmission, to where things are today. So yeah, let's everyone tune in next week. It's going to be a good one, and we'll try to get that one posted as soon as it's over. Okay, Jared, buddy, I'm going to sign off. It was good to see you again. I know it's been a few weeks. We have spoken on the phone on some other matters, but it's nice to get the podcast back up and running and building some momentum ahead of Clean Power, which is June 1st and 4th in Houston for those interested in coming to check it out.
Yeah, and those interested in being on a little recording session during Clean Power, hit us up. We'll be doing all types of little episodes and fun recording sessions during that as well. Definitely getting some mini episodes up that week as well.
Right on, buddy. Well, you
All
have a
right.
good weekend, and I'll talk to you next week. Okay, later.